Good, good. If you don't know who I am, I'm Margaret Driscoll, and I'm part of the Health and Wellness team, and we have been hosting the speaker series this past year, and we are really, really pleased to have Nancy Lowe today from the GrandDriver program. I asked her for her bio, and she was kind enough to share it with me, and she received a double major in social work and psychology in 2004, which probably feels like a lifetime ago. Yeah. Okay, and she received her master's degree in social work with a certificate in aging in 2007, and then since 2007, she has been with the Virginia GrandDriver program, and I believe you're the coordinator. Okay, so we're very, very pleased to have her. I think she's going to have some great information to share with us on safe driving, and I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you.
Hi. Can you guys hear me without the microphone? Everybody can hear me? Okay, perfect, good. Hi, my name is Nancy Lowe, and I'm with DARS, Department for Aging and Rehab Services. Have you guys heard of DARS before? No. Okay, you've heard of the Area Agency on Aging, right? Encompass around here, Rappahannock. Yeah, Rappahannock used to be their name. Now it's called Encompass. And so I do the Virginia GrandDriver program with DARS and DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles. You've heard of that, right? So what is Virginia GrandDriver? What is this program? Well, it's a public awareness, very similar to MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. How many of you have heard of MAD before? I'm sure everybody has. Well, they came out in the 1980s, so, and my program started in 2004. So it's actually a little bit of a baby compared to MAD, but I'm sure hopefully it will broadcast and reach out through Virginia, okay? It is a program done through DARS, Department for Aging and Rehab Services, along with DMV, and it's actually funded through a National Highway Transportation Safety Administration grant, NHTSA grant. So we provide this program to sort of outreach to you all, the community, and make sure that you guys are safe on the road. So what GrandDriver is not, I'm not here to take away your license. I'm not here to judge how well you drive. You know, I don't give you tickets. Those are done through law enforcement that gives tickets. Assess how well you drive is done through a driver rehab specialist, and those licensing comes from DMV, and they'll be able to regulate your licensing, the different laws. And there are laws pertaining to older adults, especially over the age of 75, and we'll go over that in a few minutes, okay, on a further slide. So why do we need this program? You know, what are the statistics, if I can say that word correctly? So older adults, believe it or not, are not the worst drivers on the road. We expect to see that on our facts, but it's not the case. The crash facts does not show that older adults are the worst drivers. The worst drivers on the road is actually our young adults in their 20s, okay? They are high-speed drivers. We're not even talking about teenager. You hear a lot of teenage crashes. Those are very sad. And you hear a lot about older adult crashes. Those are very sad. But the common ones, you don't hear about because it's too common to report, okay? So those young adults in their 20s accounted for 22% of all roadway crashes in Virginia. Our older adults over the age of 61 now accounted for 15% of those crashes, okay? So a little bit less. But what's scary is the older adults are not driving far, so they have the most crashes per miles driven. So we're just going around the corner to the store, we're going to the church, we're not going very far, but we're having the most crashes per miles driven. The younger adults in their 20s that had the 22% of those crashes, they're traveling, commuting every day, 20, 30 miles each way to jobs or school. So they're driving longer distance on highways at a faster speed. Again, seniors are low speed, not very far from home. So here are my crash facts in graph form. This is 2024. The 2025 will be out next year in a few months. So I'll have those new crash facts up. But right now, this is the 2024 crash facts. So the crashes on the left-hand side, that graph shows the crashes. So the yellow, bright yellow line, that is our young adults in their 20s, okay? And then it's 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. And then you see that 15, that blue bar, that's our older adults. And that's not a 10-year age gap. We're talking about a 30-year age gap. So it's 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even 100. That's that blue bar right there. So it's actually a 40-year age range. So they're only accounting for 15% of crashes. However, on that left-hand side, on that right-hand side, that graph shows fatalities. Our older adults are not surviving those low-impact, slow crashes as well as a young adult. So our crash facts jumps to a whopping 30% of all roadway fatalities. 1/3 of those crashes, deaths are attributed to older adults, okay? Because we are more frail. As we age, our body changes. We're not as strong and as mobile, as flexible, and bouncing back as fast as we could as a young adult in their 20s. So that's the scary part. We need to make sure that you guys are safe, that you have a lot of safety tips, and you're very cautious on the road. So there are some medical conditions that can impair driving. As we age, our body starts to change, We're not in our 20s anymore. We're not, young, and we're not fast, we're not zippy. So we need to make sure that everything is functionally perfectly. So vision is number one. You'll hear vision in a few more slides as well. Vision is number one safety tip. Make sure that your vision is not only clear, but peripheral vision, so you can see on the outskirts of your vision. So when you're driving, you can make sure that you're on the right road, you're going to the right, speed limit, so you can actually see all of those signs, but also peripheral. If anybody's coming toward your side, any, animals darting out on the road, making sure that you can see, field of view and acuity. Neurological diseases, as we age, we start to gain some of those neurological diseases, such as dementia, seizures, Parkinson's, MS. Those are all neurological. So you have to make sure that you are on your medication. If you do have medication from your doctor, make sure you're managed very well with all of those diseases, okay? Musculoskeletal diseases such as MD, muscular dystrophy, or arthritis. If you do have arthritis in your hands, can you imagine gripping that steering wheel when your arthritis is acting up and you can't grip it really tightly and turning that steering wheel? That might affect your ability to drive and also may cause a crash. Medications. When we're young, we probably didn't take medications except for maybe an Advil or two, but as we get older, we start taking a lot of medications, making sure that you are, your doctor, if they increase your dosage or decrease your dosage, make sure that you're fully, aware, your body is fully, adjusted to it before you get on the road and driving long distance or going anywhere. So you're not having any dizziness or, drowsiness, faintness, lightheaded, anything like that. Make sure that your medication is fully adjusted to you. Cardiovascular diseases, if you're prone to heart attacks, make sure that you, that you have your pills next to you, your nitroglycerin pills, in case something happens, that can trigger, something jumps out or, sudden stop in front of you, something like that might trigger So make sure that you have your medication on hand and ready. I always said that. Cerebral vascular diseases such as strokes, you know, if you're taking blood thinners to, you know, minimize strokes, make sure that your body's fully adjusted. You don't want to be lightheaded again, you know, with those blood thinners, sorry. Psychiatric diseases such as depression, anxiety, ADHD. Believe it or not, we think of, you know, attention deficit as young people's thing, but, you know, as we get older, our mind does start to wander. So you have to be careful, make sure that you're, you know, you're completely focused on the road and know exactly where you're going, and plan your route. Make sure that you know exactly which road to turn on. Psychiatric diseases. Metabolic diseases such as diabetes. If someone has diabetes and they're sugar low, they're running, we're doing this during lunchtime, make sure that you have your snack, your sugar pills on hand, in case something does trigger and you're, you know, stuck in traffic and you have, you know, you can't go anywhere and your sugars start to drop. You know, make sure that you have, you know, a plan in place. And respiratory diseases such as asthma, fall seasons starting, harvest season, you know, we might have a little pollen, you know, rise in pollen count. So make sure that you do have your inhaler if you're asthmatic, or even if you're just allergic, allergy, and you're, you know, sneezing, you know, repetitively, continuous sneezing, you know, your eyes are off the road, your eyes are blinking when you're sneezing. So be careful when you're doing that. So I said vision is really important. On a typical day, sunny day like today, a beautiful day, for every mile you drive, there's about 200 decisions that you make. Whether you know, look left, look right, foot on the pedal, you know, on the brake, ease up. You know, these are different decisions that you're making, and about 200 of them you make for every mile you drive. In these little local roads, probably, you know, about 200. In a highway, probably a little bit less because you're, you know, going fast and all you see is cars. But local roads, you've got pedestrians, you've got animals, you got, you know, all of these, you know, people crossing intersections, you know, all of these things that you have to be aware of. Whether you act on it or not is still a decision for that event. So some of the things that can affect our vision as we age is cataracts, okay? That's the cloudiness that we get in our eyes, and then you go to your eye doctor, and there's a surgery, very simple surgery that they, you know, can get rid of that, clear that cataracts out. Glaucoma is the halo effect, so pretty much you're looking straight forward, but your peripheral vision is gone. So you want to make sure that you go to your eye doctor every year to get that checked out. And some of these are hereditary diseases of the eye, so you might, you know, be more progressive, and the doctor says, I need you to come back in 8 months, I need you to come back in 6 months. Please do that, because your vision is really important, especially when you're driving. Again, 90% of our on-road information that we receive is through our eyes, okay? Macular degeneration, loss of central vision, diabetic retinopathy. So if you are diabetic, those are little blind spots that you might be missing out on. And also presbyopia, inability to see near and far. Think about, you're looking, you know, on the road, but then you're looking down at your speedometer, and then you look back on the road, and then the little time lapse from adjusting from closeness to far is a little bit delayed as we age, okay? So as you're looking at your GPS and then you're on the road and looking back at GPS, you'll see a little time delay. Also, not here, but in the Tidewater, if you're going through tunnels, the time delay from going from bright open road into dark and then back out, there is a time delay for recovery delay for older adults, more so than a younger person. Okay, so you have to be careful on doing that as well. If you have, you know, sunglasses that flip up and down, those are great. You can use those. Medications. again, we talked about medications that can affect driving. These are some of the medications. Think about the medications that might be over the counter. So your antihistamines for allergy season, that's definitely going to cause drowsiness and dizziness. Alcohol is self-medicated for some people. That will definitely impair your ability to drive. So be careful on taking that. And the prescribed medication, again, when your doctor prescribes it, these are singular medication. That might just affect that singular medication might affect your ability to drive. Think about the combination of different medications. So you're not just taking one pill, you're taking multiple pills, and that combination makes sure that there's no interaction going on there. So when you go to a doctor, go to the pharmacy, go to the same pharmacy. Don't go to get this medicine at this pharmacy and this medicine at that pharmacy. Your pharmacist will not know if you're going to get a counter interaction with those if you go to shop at different places, okay? So those are some of the medications. And when you get to your pharmacy and they give you that medicine and that says, do not operate heavy machinery while using this medicine, guess what? Your car out there is 3,000, 2,000, 3,000 pounds worth of heavy machinery. So be careful, okay? Reaction time. So this is what we're talking about when we're saying when we're on the road. As we age, our reaction time gets a little delayed. What is that? So I broke it down into acquiring the information, receiving the roadway information through our eyes, through our senses, through our hearing, so sirens going off, through our smell if my engine is burning rubber or something, through touch if I'm going through over rumble strips, that's a touch thing. So those are acquiring information. How am I getting this information? Okay? And then processing the information. You need your clear, sound mind to receive that information. Oh, did that just happen? And then processing. What am I going to do? Planning a response. Am I going to turn left? Am I going to turn right? Am I going to stomp on the brake? Am I going speed up and pass it? What am I going to do? So what is the best possible solution for that? And then physical ability. You need your muscle strength, your arm strength, your shoulder strength, your head turning left and right, looking, behind you, pulling your leg up and down from the gas to the brake and, pressing on those. Those are your physical strength. So if you have any delay in any part of that, okay, if you have a delay in your acquiring the information, if you don't see very well, if you don't hear very well, and then planning a response, if you have a slight dementia, if you're not focused on what you're doing, and then executing, if you don't have the muscle ability to turn that wheel to the right or turn it to the left. That is what reaction time, and that's why our seniors have a delayed reaction, okay? So here are some warning signs to look out for when on the road, okay? So some of them, you might hit one or two, but you gotta understand, why am I doing this? So I always point out hitting the curb. I do that because I'm right now driving a state van, which is much longer than my normal car. It is a Camry. My normal car is a Camry, so it's a smaller mid-sized car, but then the van is much longer. So when I take a right, I tend to miss that curb. So I have to recognize, understand that I'm here in my work vehicle. I need to make a wider right so I don't clip that corner. But before I do that, I have to make sure there's nobody next to me, so I do have that clearance to make that wider right. So these are all these processes and thinking about the things that I need to do, right? And then I have to make an adjustment. Now, I'm explaining to you, it takes much longer to explain it to you, but these are split-second decisions that you have to make. So you need to be of clear mind to do that, and physical ability, okay? So these are some of the things. So you have to understand why you're doing it, and how to address it, and how to adjust for it, plan some strategies for it, okay? The other way. So my 10 top safety tips for safe driving as we get older. Number 1, again, vision. Check your vision every year. If your doctor says come back sooner, okay? Just get that vision checked. Make sure that you're, perfectly, acuity, not only you see accurately, but also peripheral vision, okay? And then take a driver refresher course. Some of you have already talked about taking a driver safety course. That's the AARP or AAA driver safety course. They offer it in person or online, okay? Most, especially AAA, have moved towards online, okay? You can take that certificate after you finish and go to your insurance company and they'll give you a driver safety course reduction, okay? It's not very much, and it all depends on your insurance company how much discount they want to give you, but they will give you a discount. That's great. AARP, if you have a group like here today, you can actually call them up and say, hey, can I get a teacher to come out and we could do a driver safety course, okay? It's an all-day driver safety course, and they do give you a certificate. There's a test at the end that you have to pass, and you get a discount on your insurance. That certificate is good for 3 years, so every 3 years, plan on taking a driver safety course, okay? Avoid driving in bad weather. That we all know to do, okay? Our seniors are actually, because the safest segment population on the road is because we don't drive in bad weather. We don't drive in highway traffic. We don't drive when it's at night because our night vision is gone. So actually, seniors are one of the safer people. We self-regulate, okay? So avoid driving bad weather. We know not to do that. We know to do that. Limit your, plan your route ahead of time. So if you're going to some place, friend's house that's new and you don't know where that is, if you look on your map, you might be able to map out where to go. So you can actually plan your route ahead of time. When you're putting the address in your GPS, make sure you do that before you leave the parking space, okay? Avoid limit left-hand turns, that's next. Left-hand turns, why do we do that? Because the most crashes for our older adults happen at left-hand turns, okay? Because of the reaction time. We misjudge how fast that oncoming car is, okay? We misjudge the speed. We don't have enough time to get our foot off the brake and into the gas and then make that turn. So that's why the most crashes for older adults is at left-hand turns, also merging. And then the last one is knowing the right-of-way, so at a 4-way stop, okay? So those are your very careful, you need to consider and navigate those situations better, okay? Avoid busy highways and rush hour. We all know to do that. Please, during rush hour between the hours of 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock, don't try to go up to DC because those are the worst areas to go driving in the Nova region. Choose a senior-friendly vehicle. What do you think a senior-friendly vehicle means? Anybody? So a lot of people think it's this big, giant Cadillac or tank that you're driving down the road. More metal to protect you, right? Wrong. Actually, a senior-friendly vehicle is actually a smaller mid-sized vehicle because it is lighter weight for us to handle. We don't have that muscle strength. And it's faster moving, it's zippier, so you can try to avoid any crashes. So back in the day, we drove a big giant tank. The mentality was, I will survive that crash if I have more metal to protect me, right? Well, change that mentality to, instead of trying to survive that crash, How about we zip around it, okay? Avoid it completely, okay? So smaller, mid-sized vehicle, compact vehicle is much better for an older adult than a big giant tank. So explore alternatives before the need arises. Know what the transportation options are around here. Encompass has a transportation service that can take you to different places, most likely to your medical appointments, and sometimes for meal centers, they might be able to take you. You know, there's a lot of different, driving services like Uber and Lyft around here can take you to different places. In case you do one day, you know, oh my gosh, I broke my hip, I can't drive anymore, and your friend is out and they're not around, your family is not around. Know what's out there. Know how to navigate the area so you can actually get around and you're not stuck at home. Exercise. Take your exercise classes. I saw them playing pickleball and ping pong. Yeah, completely do that. Those are really good. It actually increases your muscle strength and your stability and your flexibility, so you can, you know, maneuver that car a little bit faster, a little bit easier, so you can see around your, your mirrors. And sharpen your mental skills. Come to these lectures. Learn about a lot of different things. If you have, chess club or bridge club, do that. Be engaged. Sharpen your mind so you can be a little faster in thinking. Your crossword puzzle, your word searches, and your Sudokus, those are great. It really sharpens and makes sure that you're really fast. And you could do those online, on your little computer, on your cell phone, those little games. And you can actually just go on to the website, my website, and play around with it. My website has changed from that little pastel thing. It has changed. It's now a brand new website, but it's got a lot of the same stuff, your self-assessment tool. So if you didn't get a chance earlier to pick up a information packet, it's over there at the front desk. Please pick one up. There is a self-quiz on there. If you answer no, it's 19 questions. If you answer no or sometimes, those are the areas that you probably need to seek further solutions for. Try to understand why this thing is happening to you, okay? And then try to find solutions for it, okay? So those, go on the website, GrandDriver.net, play around with it. You won't break it, I promise. Just, get on there. CarFit is a great program. It is separate from GrandDriver. GrandDriver is public awareness, and CarFit is actually hands-on, in-person. We fit you into your car, into your vehicle, in case you do get into that crash, that you're not seriously injured or killed by the vehicle, the cars. So there are safety features. We created that airbag thinking that, oh, it's going to protect you. But if you're sitting too close to it, guess what? It can actually hurt you, break bones, and possibly kill you. So you have to be careful that you're sitting at a safe distance away from that airbag. So we get a ruler out, making sure you're a minimum 10 inches away from that steering wheel. And there's other things that we look at. We look at how far above that steering wheel you're looking at, because as we age, we start to shrink a little bit, right? I've shrunk about, I would say about 1.5 inches already. So I have to wear these big clunky heels so I can, be standing up a little more. So you have to be careful. As we age, we start to shrink, and then our steering wheel starts to be up here instead of down here. And also, I'm doing this, but it's the 10 and 2 back in the day when we were taught 10 and 2. Guess what? It's 8 and 4 now because of that airbag. When they created that airbag in the mid-'80s, that airbag can blow your arms off and break your arms if it's up here. So you have to hold your steering wheel down here at the 8 and 4. So when it does deploy, your arm drops instead of breaking. So those are some of the things. It's a 12-point safety check. So we do this little checklist. We do a 12-point safety check of you in your vehicle, making sure that you are in the optimal positioning of your car. the car manufacturer designed the car for your average person of 5'6", like me. So if you're above 5'6", guess what? You're probably not in the optimal position. If you're shorter than 5'6", you're definitely not in the proper positioning of your vehicle. So your mirrors need to be adjusted correctly, your seat belts need to be adjusted correctly, all of that, your seat positioning need to be adjusted correctly for you to maintain that safe zone that they've actually supposed to created for you, okay? So 20 minutes, it takes about 20 minutes per car. We drive through, and then we do a quick safety check of you and your vehicle. Some of the assistive devices that we might be able to recommend to you afterwards is some of these. The easy reach seatbelt pull in case you cannot belt your seatbelt yourself. There's an easy reach. I know some of you are talking about the wedge cushion. Not an ordinary cushion from, you know, your kitchen or your dining room. Not those, or your bedroom. You have to have a high density foam wedge cushion that only elevates your bottom, but not your legs, okay? Because you don't want to be further away from that pedal than, you know, necessary. So a wedge cushion will not elevate your leg because it's not elevated at the front end. And some other devices, the handy bar right there in the middle is great, you know, for getting in and out for leverage. Okay, so some of those are some of the things that we might recommend for safety in your vehicle. And then here are some laws that recently passed. This one just passed in July. Okay, seatbelt law just passed. Everyone in the vehicle, no matter if it's a front seat, back seat, third row seat, no matter what seat, must be belted. It used to be adults in the back did not have to belt, but now you do, okay? So everybody must be belted in the vehicle. Hands-free law, these passed a while ago now. So in 2020, 5 years ago, hands-free. You are no longer able to hold a cell phone. If a police car is passing you and they see you holding your cell phone, whether you're texting or just talking on it, holding it up to your ear, you will get a ticket. Some people, I think someone was eating and got a ticket because they thought it was actually a cell phone, but it was actually just eating. Eating you shouldn't get a ticket for. But hands-free along work zones the fine is doubled, okay? That hasn't changed. Move over laws, these are new. For bicyclists, this passed in 2021. Bicyclists, they don't have to ride on the side of the road anymore. If you see them right in the middle of the road, they're allowed to be there, okay? It's their right now. You know why? Because people along the side of the road, the drivers are not seeing them. They're passing them, going really fast, and they're not really seeing them, and they're getting hit. You know, and they're trying to move over, and they're falling off into the ditch because, you know, they're trying to accommodate for the car coming at full speed. So they're allowed to ride in the center of the road, and they're allowed to ride two side by side. They don't have to go single file anymore, okay? So they're more visible, so the driver can actually see them better. And when that happens, you know what? You can, you know, if it's like a 2-lane road and there's a double yellow line, when it's safe to do so, you can actually cross the double yellow lines to pass a bicyclist, okay? So only when it's safe to do so, okay? So you just have to drive slowly until there's a, you know, space between you and the oncoming vehicle to drive around and pass them.
I don't agree with that.
Doesn't matter. You would agree if you rode the bike.
No, I still think it's wrong.
All flashing vehicles, this happened and passed in 2010. Vehicles, on the side of the road, so it's motorist assist, so those are the yellow lights, the blue lights, the police officers, and the red lights for the fire department, firefighters. Those, if they're flashing on the side of the road, they're helping someone, please slow down. That's number one. Number two, if it's safe to do so, you can move over and try to pass them, okay? If it's safe to do so. And then slower vehicles traveling in the right lane. Okay, this passed in 2017. If you're still driving slow, that's fine, because our seniors are safe. Our reaction time is much slower, so that's why we drive a little bit slower. Slow is okay, but not too slow, okay? Too slow can cause road rage, and that can cause possible crashes. So not too slow, but you can drive slower. Speed limit, or a few miles below speed limit is fine. Now, if you are traveling in the left-hand lane and going really slow,
You're gonna get shot.
I didn't say that, but she did. So you have to, move over, get on the right lane. Left lane is only for passing vehicles. If you're passing someone, a bicycle, or a motorist assist, just move over, go to the left lane, pass them, and then move back to the right lane, okay? Driver licensing laws. Okay, so this is a lot of people question about this, okay? If you're over the age of 75, all license renewals must be made in person. You can't do it online. You can't mail it in. You must do it in person. And the only test required by DMV is your vision, okay? So don't be afraid that you're gonna have to take the road test, that you're gonna have to do the written test over and get your manual out. People have ordered the manuals thinking they're gonna have to take the test. No, all you need is your vision test, okay, over the age of 75. That's not to say that on your 75th birthday, you go to DMV and sit there and get your license renewed. It's whatever renewal after the age of 75, okay? Any renewals after the age of 75. And your renewal rate is only at a five-year cycle, okay? So back in the day, about 20 or 25 years ago, it was every 5 years that you'd go to DMV to get your license renewed. Very easy to understand, right? But because we had so many people going every 5 years that DMV was getting so inundated. So now it's 8-year cycle for everybody, okay? So it's 8 year for anybody under 75, and back to 5 year for everybody over 75, okay? And if you're no longer driving, you could trade that license in for a official state issued ID free of charge, okay? And then you could travel with that, you could do, your banking with that, you could do whatever you need to do, very similar to a driver's license, but it's a non-driving state issued ID, and that's free, okay? Now VDOT will do a few road changes for you as we age to help our aging population. And those are the lenses, those red, yellow, green lenses. Right now, currently, it's at an 8-inch dish. When it's ready to repair and recycle and replace, they're gonna do a 12-inch dish so you can see those red, yellow, green much clearer, much better, because they're larger. Reflective sheeting on all the signs. You see that on the highways, but less so on the secondary roads. They're going to try to do that for all the signs, hopefully, when it's time to get replaced and changed out. Nothing is going to happen overnight, obviously, but it's when it's cycled, planned on for a replacement. Lane markings right now are roadway yellow and white lines, dotted lines, those lines. Right now it's 4 inches, and when it's ready to be replaced, it's going to be a wider 6-inch line, so it doesn't deteriorate as fast, okay? So it's easier for us. The horizontal road signs, the painted right turn lanes, left turn lanes, do not enter. Those are going to be more. They're going to try to do more of those, so we don't have to keep looking around for where's the sign for this and where's the sign for that. It's painted on the road itself. Increased time in pedestrian crosswalks. Here, we don't have a lot of crosswalks, but pretty much, up in the DC, in the city areas, they're gonna be more crosswalks, and they're going to have increased signs. They're gonna have a little push button, so you can push the crosswalk to go, and it'll be protected for pedestrians. Make sure you press that, because it gives you a little longer, a few more seconds to cross, okay? Advanced guide sign, so it'll say the next road is Lake of the Woods. I saw that earlier today. So you'll know, oh, I need to make my left over here, so I move into the left lane. So they'll give you an advanced sign to know what road you're on, okay? And then less than 2-inch drop-offs. That is in the rural area, the country roads, because the drop-off into the ditch happens, when the road is narrower. And then when you drop off, you overcorrect when you're coming back onto the road. So they're gonna put, the county is supposed to put extra pavement or gravel along the side, so it gives you a little bit of a shoulder. So if you do drop off, you don't overcorrect. It's a less than 2-inch. It's not a very big drop off, okay, to overcorrect. And that's my little spiel. Question?
Back to your driver's license. Does the renewal of your license automatically give you that little star up in the corner that
No.
works?
So with that star, you'll need to, if you want that star, you'll need to bring your birth certificate if you have, passport, if you don't have your birth certificate, and you need to bring some sort of a bill of some sort to know that you're, living here, a resident of Virginia, and then you can pay an extra $10 for that star.
And marriage certificate for women who are married.
If your name is different on your birth certificate or passport, you'll need,
I sounded unfair about the bicycle. But I'll tell you what. My thought is, when they were on the side, what if they ever fall off the bike on the road? I think that's a big hazard for the driver and for them. That's why I don't agree with that. At least they were on the side, they can fall on the floor, on the side of the road. I wouldn't want them falling in front of me.
But yeah, if they did fall on the side of the road on the ditch, would you be able to see them, or would you see them better if they were falling in the middle of the road?
Yeah, but I wouldn't run over them.
I hope you don't.
Yeah, that's how I got it.
Also, the star, the real ID, it's not really necessary. If you don't travel or intend to go to a federal building of any sort, like on base, in any, whatever military installation or anything like that, you really don't need that real ID. You could just use your regular ID, easily. But if you travel a lot and you fly, the real ID. Yeah, but even if you get on a plane, you can still bring your passport and show them that instead of your real,
But aren't they required by a certain date? No?
It's they want you to get it, but it's not necessary.
I mean, I already have mine.
I have mine too. I just, with the passport, I would have to bring 2 documents instead of 1 singular document to fly. But if you're traveling internationally, you still need to bring your passport. The real ID doesn't work internationally.
On night driving, I see ads for colored glasses, yellow or whatever. Do they really work? Or?
I got one. You know what? Yes and no. Okay, so they're saying the yellow glasses, the infomercials, the yellow glasses are supposed to, see so bright and so brilliant and, whatever. It doesn't. Okay, so what it does is actually, you know, the blue lights that a lot of the new cars have, the really shiny blue lights, that's really blinding. Well, the yellow lens glasses, the night vision glasses, turns it to a green. So the yellow and blue make green. So it actually turns it green. So it's a little bit duller, so it doesn't put a harsh glare on your eye. So that part, it helps. Other than that, no, it's not brilliant, more brilliant 3D, whatever they're saying it is. Any other questions?
Can you talk about, and I don't know if this is even your area, but, I wasn't aware of it, and how cognitive in Virginia, how it's self-reporting. And that with your license, if you have any cognitive, that you have to self-report, and then depending on those tests, whether you have to retake your driving test every.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Sure, absolutely. So self-reporting, yes, or someone else can report you actually. So a family member, your neighbor, a doctor, you know, the police officer that just stopped you because you did X, Y, and Z, they can actually report you, and DMV will be alerted to there might be a medical condition. So they will investigate. They might ask you for, you know, X, Y, Z in testing. There could be a vision test. It could be a, you know, a cognitive test. It could be a certified driver rehab specialist. You know, it just be a array of different testings that you might have to go through. But yeah, it is self-reported or reported by someone. Now, as a family member or a physician, the information is confidential. It's not FOIAble. Okay, just yeah.
Hey, I don't know whether this is VDOT or not, but, there are a number of things in this area that are kind of dangerous where stop signs are, you can't see them because of cars being parked, especially when you try and get over to Walmart. Is that something we're just gonna have to live with and be aware of, or is there any activity involved?
Yeah, you can actually report those to Public Works, not VDOT. Public Works. They fix the roads and they fix probably the trimming of hedges and trees and making sure that things are, yeah, Public Works. And it's local, it's not a state thing. So, any other questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.